I'm here with Erin Maroon today, and she has formed a nonprofit organization called Ashley's Embrace in honor of her daughter, Ashlie. So, welcome, Erin. I'm so excited to learn all about Ashlie and really dive into what you have taken this to. And it seems like it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and the ways that you are helping stillbirth moms. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, maybe we'll just start out with your story. Tell me all about Ashlie.
Sure. About 10 years ago, I was pregnant with our very first baby, and I felt incredible. Loved every second of being pregnant, and I felt better pregnant than not pregnant. I had no issues, no red flags, no complications, nothing to be concerned about. I went to my doctor at 41 weeks in a day at the end of October 2015, and my doctor told me that Ashley was fine. She said she looks great. They're like, I'm going to let you stay pregnant for another week unless she comes before that. And I looked my doctor in the eye and I said, am I jeopardizing either one of us if I wait? And
Mm.
she said, no, but I'm not going past 42 weeks. I said, okay, great. I trust you. I went home, made some dinner later that afternoon, and was relaxing on the couch. And I felt a huge kick. And I grabbed my stomach and I was like, baby girl, what was that? And then I didn't think much about it and drifted off into sleep. I had been upset all day about the possibility of being induced, and I just wanted her to come on her own. I was exhausted and done being pregnant. Then my husband came home from a meeting and he said, is Ashley okay? And I said, yeah, she's fine. He said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, we're good. I fell asleep. And he said, okay, because something just doesn't feel right. He told me that as he pulled in the driveway, he got chills, like something was not okay. And so I realized that she hadn't moved in probably about 30, 40 minutes. We called triage and they said, how far along are you? Yeah, you should probably come in. And so we flew to the hospital. And I think my husband knew the whole time that something just was not okay. And I kept grabbing my belly and he kept saying, is she moving? Is she moving? And I said, I don't know. You're driving so fast, like these bumps. And like, I don't know. When we got to the hospital, they hooked me up and tried to find her heartbeat. Three different people tried to find her heartbeat and could not. I remember they had brought in the attending physician and he turned the ultrasound screen to face us, and Ashley's back was highlighted on the screen. And my mind said, they're looking for the flicker, but there's no flicker. And probably about 2 seconds after my brain made that connection, he turned to us and he said, your daughter is dead.
Oh,
Just very matter of fact, like as casually as we spilled a cup of coffee or something. And my husband collapsed. And I remember I was chewing gum and I chewed my gum a couple more times. And I thought, was I going to be a bad mom? Did I sleep on the wrong side? Should I not have had that sandwich for lunch? All these things. Did I do this to her? You just said she was fine. What happened? My husband said, we have to tell our parents. He called my dad, and my dad answered. I heard my dad on the other line. He said, Tony, baby? My husband said, no, Rick, we lost the baby. In that split second, my mind realized we have to bury our daughter. I asked the doctor, what do we do now? And he said, we're going to induce. I asked for a C-section and I said, I'm not strong enough to labor for this baby. Can you please just get her out? And he said, no, we're going to have you labor. That's better for your body. I labored for 24 hours. I had two epidurals. She was not moving. Nothing was happening. Finally, my husband said, just get her out. She was born the next day, beautiful, pink, plump, and warm, everything you expect your brand new baby to be, except the operating room was quiet. And they asked if I wanted to hold her. And when she came out, her neck was wrapped 3 times with her cord, and it was also around her foot. We're just assuming that's what happened. They handed her to me right away. I did not go to recovery. I was wheeled back to my room where my friends and family were waiting. A photographer took some photos, and I thought I was going to drop her because I was shaking so violently from the anesthesia, exhaustion, and shock. I handed her to my mom and I fell asleep. The next morning, when I woke up, I asked my husband where Ashley was, and he said, I'll go get her. And he brought her in what can best be described as an Easter basket. And Ashlie was a big baby. She was 8'13", almost 23 inches long. So there was a lot of her. She loved ice cream, but she was shoved in this Easter basket. And as he took her out of the Easter basket, I could feel just the frigidness coming off of her. She was ice cold. The hospital had told me that they kept her in the cold room. When he handed her to me, she was very different from the baby I had seen the night before. And I had not been made aware that any of that could happen. I held her and kissed every feature I could see. My husband asked me not to unswaddle her because she had changed so much. And my nurses had said, well, you can keep her as long as you want. And I didn't know what that meant. There was no bassinet in my room. Do I hold her? Do I sleep with her? What do we do in this situation? And so I took a couple of grainy cell phone pictures of her little features. And like I said, kissed what I could see. We buried her, said we were going to bury her in the outfit that we were supposed to take her home in. That was the last time I saw her. I held her for maybe 20 minutes in that second day. And that was all I got with her. It was less than an hour from start to finish, from the night before to that day. I Googled how to come home to an empty nursery the day that I was discharged from the hospital. And I read an article that referenced a Cuddle Cot, a device that keeps baby cool instead of frozen, allows families more time. And I was so angry. I felt so slighted. Like, we're the most advanced medically nation in the world. I got less than an hour with our daughter, and we knew we had to make a change. About 3 weeks after her memorial service, I was just overcome with, like, I know what we're supposed to do with this. I ran downstairs and I told my husband, I said, we're supposed to start a nonprofit. He said, we're supposed to do what? We're both still in the throes of grief. And I had never felt more clear about anything in my entire life, and still to this day have not. So we started Ashley's Embrace, and that's a little bit about how that all came about. To date, we have donated almost 400 Cuddle Cots. We have one in every state. Some hospitals have multiples. We have a son now. He is 8, and we got a second chance. And so many people do not. And so those moments in the hospital are all they may get with any baby. And so we wanted to provide that choice because we didn't have one, to give families the gift of more time. So that's our story.
Thank you so much for that. I have chills for so many reasons. A lot of your stories feels familiar, rings familiar, which I'm sure it will to a lot of the moms listening. I just can't. The anger and the frustration with that, I'm sure had to be really hard to navigate.
We
And
we asked him not to come into our room anymore. We asked for someone
oh,
else to come in.
yes, and I'm sure you did not see him again for your second child.
We did not. Switched hospitals, switched doctors, all of it.
Yes, but the cuddle cot is something that was not in existence when I had my stillbirth 25 years ago. They did bring the babies in right after and said, take as much time as you need. Here's a disposable camera, because we'd also didn't have cell phones at the time or anything that, that could. They took hospital pictures and I was handed a disposable camera and they said, take as much time as you need. But there was the part of me that's like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I think they did warn me that as they cooled, things would change. So it was almost like take as much time as you need, but you won't want to take too much time. As a 29-year-old woman, what do you do in the middle of this whole scene that no one ever imagines themselves in? How do you know what to do? So the
Right.
cuddle cots are so important. And I love that you knew that this is what you needed to do.
Mhm.
That was your sign.
Yeah, we did not have one. A friend asked us after we delivered, she had her baby 2 weeks prior, and said, I heard about these things called a cuddle cot. You got one, right? And I said, we did not. They had just been introduced to the US the year prior. And there were one-off families donating them after loss, but we really wanted to take it bigger. At first, we thought, well, we're located in Ohio, and we
Yeah.
thought, let's just get 10 by her first birthday. That would be great. And have chills just how
Mm.
quickly and how large it has grown. Let's just get 10 by her first birthday. And as word spreads, it's such a humble reminder. We started Ashley's Embrace selfishly so we could see her name on things. But now, 10 years later, it's not just about Ashlie, it's about the Willows and the Miles and the Seths and the Mayleys and all of the babies and the families that we have connected with. That's why we keep doing what we do.
That's amazing. And you've done it for 10 years now.
Yes.
Well, first, I want to talk about your grief. So, this was your healing.
Absolutely.
Your healing is knowing that you could make a difference for other families because
Mhm.
you couldn't have your moments that you dreamed about with Ashlie, but they could.
Right.
So, you had this idea, you ran down the stairs. I love him. I love that he's the best husbands are the ones that entertain our crazy ideas.
Right.
So, then what was your first step? Who did you reach out to? How did you know what to do?
We reached out to friends and family. We had an incredible amount of support through our pregnancy. My husband and I had been married for almost 11 years. So we had gotten the question repeatedly of when are you going to make babies? So when we finally did get pregnant, people were so excited. I chronicled my pregnancy journey and bump pics and all that on Facebook. So people were invested in Ashley's arrival. And when it didn't end the way we all thought it would, people were already invested.
Yeah.
Support, and we were able to turn that into, okay, this is our story now. Can you come be part of this part of our story? And so that's where we got a lot of our support was friends and family initially. And still to this day, a lot of our support comes from people that are already in our life and know what we have walked through. I also learned a lot about setting up a nonprofit organization. Thank you, Google, for answering all my
Yes.
questions.
Well, for someone who doesn't know what a cuddle cot is, or someone like me who never had the luxury of even being offered it, tell us what it is. What does it do?
It is a simple machine, probably about the size of a laptop, that you put distilled water into, and that distilled water is cooled by a fan. And that water goes through a hose into a flexible plastic pad, and it helps cool baby. So the water stays around 46-ish degrees, and it keeps baby refrigerated instead of frozen or at room temperature, because either of those extremes is not good, which I didn't know all these things until it happened to me. And you don't really want to think about it, but that preservation allows families more time before things start to change. So baby still looks like the baby that you envisioned or the baby that you gave birth to the night before. I mean, it helps slow those natural changes. The pad can be wrapped around the baby and the parents can hold it, or it can just sit on the pad. It gives family members time to come in from out of state if that's how your family wants to handle it, siblings to see the baby. The option of, do you want to bathe your baby? Would you like to baptize your baby? If you believe in that, there's a choice instead of just, you have an hour, go live an
Yeah.
entire lifetime of memories in minutes.
Try to do it through your shock and your tears.
And you're
And I also had a C-section, and it's just different. You remember that silence of the operating room. When do I get to see them? I really didn't want to.
some families don't want to use the cuddle cot, and that's fine, but that's their choice. At least the cuddle cot allows a family a choice. Or we've also heard stories of families who say, no, we're not feeling that right now. And then 6 hours later, they're like, wait, is it too late? Can I still see my baby? In a traditional setting, it is probably too late. But if baby has been on a cuddle cot, it's not too late.
What do you want the hospitals to do with them in that situation? Because if they say no, are you advocating for like put them in there anyway?
Yes,
And then
absolutely.
because it might come back as a
Right.
yes.
Hospitals, there are hospitals that are dead set against even having one at all.
Mhm.
And then there are hospitals that use it as their standard of care. The family doesn't even get asked. This is just what you get if you experience a loss at that hospital. It doesn't matter whether there's socioeconomic disparities or geographic disparities. We find that some hospitals are really good at offering it and others are just not. I want a hospital to have a cuddle cot. I want you to have it there. And I want you to know how to use it. It's a very simple tool. You click it, you put water in it, you turn it on, done. And I want hospitals to know that that single choice that they make can
Mhm.
literally change the trajectory of a family's grief journey. Their one choice can change someone's life.
Yeah.
Studies show that lack of time can really make a difference in how well or how quickly someone heals from this type of loss.
Mhm.
And that regret is forever. I have so many regrets that I've pushed past because I'm giving other families a chance to not have those same regrets. But there's never enough time. But if we could give you 6 hours instead of 60 minutes, it could make a difference.
I had older children. They were 5 and 3, and I didn't have them come in because I just didn't know what the condition was. If I had had more time, we didn't have our parents in. We made a lot of decisions that I don't know that I regret. I just wonder if I would have made a different choice. I do believe you make the best choice you can at the moment for what you know, because none of us, even if there was a book on how to prepare for stillbirth while you're pregnant, no one's reading it
Right. I
because we
skipped
all
that
think it's
chapter.
never going to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe you have to make peace with the fact that you did the best you could with the information you had and the
Mm-hmm.
resources that you had. Every hospital needs at least one, maybe
Yep.
two or three or four, however many they can have, no matter what the parents' wishes are. The minute they have a stillbirth, the baby's going in.
Right. Now, if the family says, "Ooh, we don't really love that idea," then baby can come off
Then,
it.
right,
But and they're reusable. So it's not just a one and done and you're throwing it away. So they're cost effective from a hospital standpoint. There are other devices out there that do similar things. And we love the team that we work with. They want to make a difference.
yeah.
They are flying here and we're hosting them for dinner in our homes, like our board of directors. We believe that they really want to make a difference and we feel comfortable with that partnership. We don't make the cuddle cot. I did not do this on my own. There have been thousands of people that have walked with us through this journey. I just think it's so cool that I get to talk about her every day.
I love it.
And through my grief, I get to maybe influence someone else's grief,
You definitely
which is
are.
super powerful and really humbling.
So, so important. Yes. How much is a cuddle cat? How much do they cost?
A cuddle cot from us is 3,500
Mhm.
and it includes memorial plaques on it. So a family that sponsors a cuddle cot is able to put a customized plaque on that. It includes shipping from the United Kingdom where they're manufactured, all the taxes, the government, red tape, all of that. And then it also helps support us for training visits too, and making sure that the hospital has, if something breaks or spare parts, we cover that. And so
Oh,
it's an ongoing relationship with the hospital about taking care of these things.
that's actually less than I thought it would be.
It
Really?
just blows my mind that not every hospital has one. I mean, we're making huge strides.
Why do you think a hospital would be resistant to get one?
Training, it's one more thing to keep track of, one more thing to make sure that the nurses know about. Things have changed since COVID. Nurses are taking on so much more with so much less.
Yeah.
And it's just one more thing for them to deal with. And if you don't agree with it, it's hard to get
Yeah.
your people on board, right? But then
It's
there's other hospitals that say we get emails all the time. We heard about what you're doing.
good.
We need this. We've been asking for one for years. It's not in the budget. Can you help us? So there's a need.
Great. So that's good. There is a need. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's so many. When you think
Daily we
about
get
every
emails.
small town hospital, even that could be delivering
Mhm.
babies on the daily, that's a
One
lot.
loss is enough losses to have a
One
cuddle
is
cot
enough.
on site.
So how do you raise your money? I heard your foundation is doing a fundraiser in October. It looks
Yes.
amazing.
We have our annual fundraiser gala in October, obviously, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. My birthday and also Ashley's birthday is October 28th. It's a very important month for our organization. A lot of our fundraising comes from that. It's our largest actual fundraiser of the year. We're celebrating 10 years this year, so that's exciting. But the majority of our funding actually comes from families who have experienced loss. Maybe they got a cuddle cot and they want to pay it forward. Maybe they didn't get a cuddle cot and they want to make sure no other family has to walk through it that way. And so we have a fundraising platform that we offer that families can say, here, network, this is what I'm doing and I'm raising money. Will you help me? We make every effort to place those cuddle cots where the family has requested, regionally specific hospitals. That's how so much of the word has spread. I did not know that this group of people existed. A friend of mine from high school had posted pictures of her son when he passed away. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I would publicize that. I hadn't been pregnant at that point. And afterward, it's like that's all I wanted to do was share her with people. And I know some people don't want that, and that's okay. But it blows my mind how far we have come and how many people this touches, loss touches. The numbers are staggering, Jennifer. And you know that. Almost every person we talk to about Ashley's Embrace has a story, whether it's their story or their sister or their next door neighbor or their cousin's grandma. They know someone who's been touched by loss.
But it's so quiet. No one talks about it. Isn't that so interesting? As generations of women who were taught to either not speak of it, they were sent away, who knows what went on. And I do think when you're talking about cuddle cots and holding our babies, I think about the women from years ago who were never allowed to see them. They were never allowed, they were put out during the delivery and they we're supposed to never have a memory of them. We have come a long way, but we have so far to come.
Our
And
photographer that took our photos for Ashlie had experienced a loss at 20 weeks. And to this day, she does not know if it was a boy or a girl. They would not tell her. And she said, that's why I do what I do, because no one could be there for me. And so we have so many stories like that, men and women alike. We did a booth just a couple weeks ago, and a grown man came up to us in tears and said, my daughter's best friend, we just buried her 5-day-old baby. Like, thank you for this. And so it's not one specific group of people, it touches everybody. And we've got to start talking about it. And we've got to normalize this grief and this stuff we're all carrying, given us a platform that we didn't know that we would ever love. It's weird to say we love it, but I always tell people that we could have died with Ashlie, or we can do something about it. And if I'm going to be here for who knows how long, I'm going to try to do something about it. And so is my husband. And so are all the people who are with us and supporting us. We can't change what happened, but we're going to try to make it different for the people who go through it next.
I so agree. And I think sometimes people look at me and it's been 25 years since my loss, and they're like, I can't believe you're still talking about this. But I know looking back, I can see the places where it has touched every single area of my life. There is a direct line between before and after my loss,
Absolutely. 100%.
who I am, how I am in my marriage and my parenting and all of the things. My whole entire life has changed. And there are gifts from that. I never like to say that to newly lost moms because it's hard to see that for a long time. But looking back, there is so much of it, and why there's a stigma and a shame around it. I don't know. I think we are making strides. Thank social media. You're seeing women that share their babies now, and you see women talking about it. It's still
I
so much
remember
work to do.
because my husband's in this too. A lot of people forget the man. My husband fielded all the phone calls, answered the door all when I didn't feel like, I mean, he handled all of that. So shout out to the men also who are
100%.
grieving.
My husband
Yeah.
also made the call. Can you imagine making that
Yeah.
call?
And I
Yes.
just remember we felt so alone. We felt like no one in the world had ever experienced this, that no one at the hospital had ever seen this. That's just how we felt. Like none of our friends had lost babies like this. My cousin had her baby the exact same day. My best friend had her baby 2 weeks prior. Their babies came home. What
Why not mine?
Why not ours? And we felt alone. And then the messages came in. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry. I had a stillbirth at 32 weeks. I lost my baby at 37 weeks. I had a miscarriage at 13 weeks. And we're just like, what? All you people
I
are
never
out
knew
there?
this. Yeah.
We had no clue. We had no clue.
That's why I do what I do, honestly,
Yeah.
because I clung to those messages. Like
Mhm.
I loved it when people told me that because it made me feel less alone. And
Exactly.
then I wanted to know from them, like, well, how did you survive it? Tell me how you survived it. And that's why I do what I do, because looking at the people who have gone through it before you and seeing how that they have survived it, that they have gone on,
Mm,
was what you needed because the regular people in your life just didn't get it.
exactly.
So, how could someone find out more about what you're doing, donate money for your foundation, come to one of your events? How can they find out more about you and your story and what you're doing?
We have a great new marketing manager who has beefed up all of that. You can find us on socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's just Ashley's Embrace, and it's ASHLIES, embrace like a hug. And our website is ashleysembrace.org. There is donate on there. You can also buy tickets to the gala. We also have a golf outing in May every year. And you can also see where all of our cuddle cots are. We keep a running total by state and hospital name. We keep that list as up to date as possible. We just love hearing stories. Even if someone isn't in
Mm,
a place to donate money or come to the gala, we'd love to just hear your story if you
yeah.
want to tell it. Because I think sometimes just having someone who's been there, just say it out loud. Like, look, we have this in common. The circumstances were different. I will never tell someone, I know exactly how you feel, because I don't. And you don't know how I feel. But I think just to have a place to put your feelings is helpful and healthy. We get messages from people who say, I don't want to donate a cuddle cut. I just want to talk. We're not a support group. We don't claim to be any of that, but I will read it and I will write back and I will think about you. It's such a gift that people can trust us with that,
They may be in a world where no one else will listen.
where no one understands.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, Erin, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story.
Pleasure.
For the work you're doing. It is changing lives in so many levels. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I don't do it alone. Lots of friends, family, and a great
Yeah.
says, whatever you need to do, just do it.
Oh,
That my husband always finds a way. We know a lot of people like that. His grief was channeled into a memorial pond for our daughter. It's in our front yard. And so everyone who walks by our house or comes to our house sees it and knows she existed. He will work her into every single conversation, though. Stranger at the grocery store. Hey, so we have a nonprofit organization in our daughter's memory, and he'll hand out a flyer. The amount of support he's garnered just from mentioning her name in casual situations. I am so thankful for that man and
I,
for all of the crazy that he puts up with. But I think we need to love on our men too and our grandparents because they walk through that with us also.
the mom gets all the attention. They also suffer and have their own path with coping and healing, which I use the word healing very sparingly because I think it's not an end. It's not an end game with us. It's
I
forever.
agree.
I love him. I bet he
He's
has a
fun.
lot of great things to say himself.
He's fun.
Good.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
for the awareness that you spread and for the stories that you tell about people. I think that a lot of us are misunderstood, and
Mm,
I'm grateful for you and for the work that you're doing too.
thank you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate that.